Coming to you from the home of Franklin's finest, this is the APB Podcast. Here now is Franklin Police Public Information Manager, Max Winitz.
It is episode 13 of the APB Podcast. Hi there, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in and making us a part of your week. If you tuned in last week, you probably remember Chief Dev Faulkner talking a little bit about school safety, because we are now just days away from school starting once again in the city of Franklin and Williamson County. So on today's show, we felt it would be good to remind you of the rules of the road in school zones. So we're sitting down with Traffic Unit Officer Joe Lacates. This is something that's very near and dear to him. He is somebody who is out every morning in a school zone patrolling. He is out every afternoon in a school zone patrolling. So he is the perfect person to tell you a little bit about what you need to do to stay safe and what your kids need to do to stay safe in school zones. So we will talk with Joe in just a few moments. But first, let's get to the headlines. The Franklin Police Department is incredibly proud to highlight the generosity of a local woman. On Tuesday, Franklin resident and school teacher Jennifer Henderson delivered these 21 handmade stuffed teddy bears and elephants to the Franklin Police Department. Now, each one was carefully sewn, stuffed, and stitched by Henderson, who has made it her personal mission to help children who are victims of crime or other traumatic events. Franklin police officers will carry the stuffed animals in their patrol vehicles and distribute them to children they encounter in stressful or crisis situations, whether it be the aftermath of a crime, a car crash, or another emotionally distressing event. Thank you, Jennifer, very much for all of your hard work in making this happen. And a big thanks goes out to Bob Self, who after 10 years and 1,036 hours of volunteer service is retiring from the Franklin Police Department's volunteer program. On Wednesday, Chief Faulkner personally recognized Bob for his unwavering dedication and outstanding work and service to our department and community. Bob, thank you very much. Your commitment has made a lasting impact. And a quick programming note, we're going to be off next week, so we'll see you for episode 14 in 2 weeks. But coming up next, Officer Joe Lacates talking about school traffic safety, what you need to keep in mind when school starts back up once again next week. That conversation after the break.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? The Franklin Police Department is seeking dedicated, passionate individuals who want to protect and serve in the South's most charming town. As a member of our internationally accredited team, you'll be part of a dynamic, supportive department that values integrity, professionalism, and community engagement. Enjoy competitive benefits, career advancement opportunities, and the chance to truly impact the safety and well-being of our neighbors. For more information, visit franklintn.gov/joinfpd. That's franklintn.gov/joinfpd.
All righty, welcome back, everybody. I'm Max Winitz. I'm being joined by one of the nicest guys here at the Franklin Police Department, Officer Joe Lacates. Thanks for sitting down on the podcast here today.
It is my pleasure.
You are the best person to talk about this subject. I know it's very near and dear to your heart. It's hard to believe. School is starting next week already. We'll delve into that in just a couple of minutes. But first, let's get to know Joe Lacates. Your name is, to many, very familiar here in Williamson County. Your father, the sheriff of Williamson County for a number of years. Talk about that growing up with your dad as the top cop in the county.
Well, I mean, my dad's career started in 1962, so he spanned like over 40 years. But, here in Williamson County, being the sheriff for 8 years, for 2 terms, and with my mom working in the school system, everybody knew who our family was. And the fun part, when Dad would campaign or whatever time of the year, we would, as children, older children, we'd be nominated to go to the cookouts or the auctions or whatever just to represent my dad. But his career and how he handled his career was the inspiration for why I became a cop.
And you took a little bit of a different path to becoming a police officer. You owned and operated a dry cleaning business.
I did.
At one time before becoming a police officer.
I did. Well, my dad, I believe everything he tells me. He's my father. He would tell me, don't be a cop and he would give me a grocery list of reasons why I shouldn't do it. But I always wanted to do it. And I think if I hadn't, it would have been the one big question mark in my life, that one regret, well, what if? I would have been completely content if I had gone to the academy and given it 100% and fallen flat on my face or not passed the testing here. Because then what I would have known, okay, yeah, he's right, I can't be a cop. But at the wonderful age of 46 years old, I got to go to the police academy. I still remember the phone call I got from Miss Donna. Hey, are you still interested? And I'm like, yeah, send me. Where am I going?
Yeah.
And of course, when I got to the academy, it was a whole different story.
And Miss Donna, we have to mention, is the administrative assistant to the chief, for all of you wondering who that is. I know I've asked you this before in a different video segment, but the day your dad was able to put the badge on you, obviously so meaningful to the both of you.
Oh, best day ever. And I say that honestly. I mean, I've got 6 grandkids, and 2 children, and I've got a wonderful wife. But my dad at that time too was also struggling with cancer at the time, so it took a lot of energy out of him to do it. But yeah, it's like the greatest form of affirmation for him to put the badge on me. And then when I graduated the academy, he because he was former law enforcement, he was able to present my certificate to me as I walked the line. So yeah, and we talk shop now. Obviously, it's a lot different than it used to be. I mean, he didn't have the technology that we have now to do his job. I think his job was much tougher, but you had to be a different type of man, a different type of officer in the 60s than you do in 2025.
Yeah. Well, what you mentioned that he didn't want you to become a police officer. What was it that inspired you to eventually do it?
I watched how my dad, especially when he became sheriff, how community focused he was, how he endeavored every single day to make a positive difference in somebody's life. Even if it's in the course of taking somebody to jail, you can still do something positive with that event. But yeah, I was his ADHD child. Okay. So I'm the one that's like all over I'm the dreamer, which is, I always tell people my dad is Clint Eastwood. I'm more like Jim Belushi, a little bit on the lighter side.
Yeah.
But yeah, just watching him do the job, and listening to the stories, and putting on the uniform, and realizing that what a difference it makes in somebody's life just by having the uniform on. So yeah, it was inevitable, I think.
Did you ever have any desire to run for sheriff?
No. One, my mom would have killed me. So that's, no, I really didn't. I mean, I thought about it. I kicked it around. But I also know what Dad went through, all the after hour things, constantly being on call, constantly being in demand. I'm the kind of person that when I'm off duty, I'm off duty. I go home to my wife and my dogs. But during the last election, during the special election, the rumor did go through the sheriff's department that I was going to run. So I had to get out there on social media and make sure everybody knew that I was not running.
How do you think that started?
I don't know. I really wish I knew the background on that.
Yeah.
But I'm not, I don't know. I like what I do. I like where I am. And the main reason that I didn't do it is if you looked at the other candidates at the time, and if you looked at their level of experience, okay, at the time the election went off, I only had like 12 years experience as an officer.
Mm-hmm.
That's not enough to be the chief law enforcement officer of the county. And the diversity that those guys have, with drug background and all these other things that they do, things that I don't have, they're not in my toolbox. I just felt like I was not qualified to be the sheriff. I didn't have all the tools to do the job and do it correctly.
Are you closing that door completely?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
No chance?
Nope, not doing it. One, I live in Rutherford County now, so I can't run.
Okay.
But no, when my dad became sheriff, he was in his early 50s. Okay, I just hit 60 this year. So I'm in a different place in my life than my dad was when he ran.
Mm-hmm.
I'll retire in 4.5 years, and I'll retire. in 4.5 years I'll
Yeah.
be done. So,
Yeah.
so no, I'm definitely not doing it. It's now I'll be happy to endorse a candidate if they think that the name will still help. Be happy to do that, but no, I'm not going to run.
Yeah. You are assigned to the traffic unit here. What do you enjoy about being a part of that vital department?
There's so many things. The group of guys that we have in the back, and that's, well, I say guys, the group of people, starting with our lieutenant and down to our sergeant, and then the guys that I work with. So much energy in the room, which is great because that's something that I draw off of, and diversity in our backgrounds, diversity in our interests, the things that we like to do. So working with those guys, it's a great place to be. As far as the job responsibilities go, my favorite thing is my child passenger safety.
Yeah.
I love doing my car seats. It's not something that I set out to do. When I joined the traffic division, Fatal Team was the thing that was pushed, the CERT team, where we do reconstruction of a crash that has resulted in a fatality or may result in a fatality. So I took all those classes. I'm horrible at math. I don't even know what I was thinking.
You and me both.
But when the opportunity came to take the class for car seats, I thought, well, this could be fun. And it has turned out to be fun.
Yeah.
Especially first-time parents. They are the best. They're so excited. They have so much energy. They have so many ideas, and they have absolutely no idea what they're in for.
Yeah.
But I love doing expectant parents. I love doing the install. Part of my shtick is I'll tell them to make sure you take a picture of the back seat of your car, because this is the cleanest it's ever going to be again. Because next thing you know, it's going to be goldfish and Fruit Loops and whatever the case may be. The other car seat tech, John Tuck, who I work with in the division, we have often talked about purchasing a shop vac for when we do car seat events.
Yeah.
And maybe clean up the cars a little bit.
It's a good idea.
So, but no, that's the car seat part. That's my favorite part. It's my favorite thing to do. And probably second, working the crashes, and it's two-part. One, I love puzzles. I love to solve puzzles. But I love to get to what is probably the worst point in somebody's day and in some way make it better, make it hurt a little less. If I can get them to laugh or smile before we're done, then my job is complete.
Yeah. Going back to the car seats, got to brag on you a little bit here, but last year around this time, you were recognized, honored by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office for being, you got to tell me the exact title of the award, but what, top police officer of the year for car seat installations?
Child Passenger Safety Technician of the Year.
What did that mean to you?
It was totally overwhelming, totally unexpected. Let me suck it up here for a minute. One, I didn't see it coming because I'm not the kind of person that does things for awards. I don't do the things for the pats on the back and the attaboys. But when they started describing the person and everything that was accomplished, it was really funny because Sergeant Greer, my supervisor, I was taking the reconstruction pre-conference that week. And he'd sent me an email, make sure you sign up for the lunch for the child passenger safety one. I'm like, great, I get 2 lunches. I'm excited, So we sign up, we're in reconstruction. He sends me a text message. He says, hey, it's time to go over. Okay. So we go over to the lunch for child passenger safety, and we're in the hallway, and he looks at me. He goes, you still don't know what's going on, do you? I'm like, no. He's like, God, you're going to make a terrible detective. So, but he had written this absolutely wonderful recommendation, which I didn't realize how much I had done. Because you kind of keep score, you keep tabs on all the car seats that you do. But I didn't realize how much I had done, how many events we had done. Well, I say me, I had help. We network with fire. We network with other technicians at hospitals and everything. So it wasn't just me. But yeah, it was overwhelming, a very emotional moment. Even the chief came, and it's not normal to see the chief at a THSO conference. So it was nice to have her at the table as well. So yeah, it was wonderfully overwhelming. And this year, as a result of that, I get to speak this year, which will also be overwhelming because I'm not used to talking in front of a crowd that large. It's at the end of the day. I'm kind of hoping most of them will go home. So we'll see how that works. But yeah, it's the best part of my job.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, Joe. All right, let's transition now into school traffic safety. As I mentioned earlier, hard to believe. Next week, school is starting once again. What are some of the most common issues you all as traffic officers see in school zones?
Geez, people just simply not paying attention. And that's not just the driver of the car, it's the children as well. It's the parents of the children. I know the parents are excited to get their kids back in school so they can have their me time back. But yeah, just being careful a lot of parents in these communities like to walk their children to school. And so being careful using the crosswalks. A lot of the ones we have in the city now have the strobing lights. They even have the signs that says make sure that you make eye contact with the driver of the car before crossing. And I can tell you right now, initially at the beginning of the school year, we will probably be camped out in as many school zones as we possibly can. Because even not just the crossing, but people are still on their cell phones. People are still not watching the speed limits. The hands-free law for school zones went into effect in 2018. We went hands-free totally in 2019, but we're still finding people on their phones. They just can't seem to put their phone down, So just be mindful of traffic when you're walking your children. We do have crossing guards, but they can only do so much. I mean, their head has to be on a swivel, so you kind of got to help protect them as well. So I've said it before, I want you to pretend that the children that you see in that crosswalk are your children or your grandchildren. And I want you to place that much value on them when you're going through the school zones.
So touch a little bit more on the enforcement starting next week. You mentioned Franklin Police, there's going to be a presence at just about every school in the city limits.
Well, that hasn't officially come out yet, but I'm pretty sure I know Sarge, and I know that's typically what we do is when the school year first starts, we try to hit as many of the school zones as we can. So I apologize, Sarge, if I'm getting a little bit ahead of you.
It's okay.
But it's my favorite thing to do in the mornings is to sit in the school zones. And there's some that are easier to work than others just simply because of the way the roads are laid out. I'll give you a perfect example, Franklin High School. It's nice and wide. It has that center breakdown lane. I will literally stand in that lane with my radar gun, or it enables me also to look over in the cars because people will be on their phone and then they'll see an officer. The first thing to do is they take that phone and they put it way down here. If you're standing up, you can actually look down in the car and you can still see the phone. So I'm sure there will be a presence out there. At the very least, I'll be out there.
Yeah.
We protecting and serving is what we're doing.
Sure.
So watch out for the kids.
What are the specific speed limits people need to follow in school zones during those morning and afternoon hours?
Well, they all vary. I mean, each school zone is different. There's a lot of 25s, there's a lot of 35s. I think, I know there's a 45 somewhere. I think maybe Winstead might be. But if you get caught speeding through one of those school zones, it's $159. That's a lot of whatever it is you'd rather spend the money on, $159 through a school zone. If you go through there on your cell phone, it's $200. Plus you have to go to General Sessions Court. You don't get to go to City Court. You got to go to Big Boy Court. So $200, where I think regular cell phone is like 60 or 65. That's a lot of something you'd rather be spending that money on. And then on top of the school zones, we also have the buses that we have to focus on as well.
Yeah.
State of Tennessee was nice enough to increase the fine for passing an active school bus, $250, plus 8 points on your license if you're found guilty, and you can only get 12.
Yeah.
So we'll be active.
Okay. I was going to touch on school buses, and I to most people, it's self-explanatory what you do when you see the little arms that say stop come out of the school bus, but you still have to remind people that you cannot go around a bus when it's stopped and kids are getting off.
It is something that you have to remind, and a lot of people don't understand the law either. If you got an example like say Del Rio Pike, which is 2 lanes, it's logical there that if this bus stops and the arm comes out, you stop because it's 2 lanes. But if you look at Murfreesboro Road, which is 6-8 lanes wide, people think that because the road is wider and the bus is further away, you don't have to stop. What you have to look for is a center divider. If there's a center divider of any type, whether it's grass or concrete or whatever, then you're allowed to pass the bus. But like on Murfreesboro Road, there's no divider. So if the bus stops in front of Waffle House and you're in front of Wendy's, well, Hardee's, you still have to stop. So you would have 6 lanes of traffic theoretically that should be stopped for that bus. It's just an understanding of the law.
Yeah.
But typically with us, it's zero tolerance. Most, I think that's the way we look at it. The worst case I had was several years ago. I had a bus in Chestnut Bend, and the bus drivers have been taught to park at like an angle so that nobody can really go around them. And we had a car that went down the door side of the bus as the kids were getting on the bus.
Wow.
And it was a teenager that was late for school. So, and that's a whole nother can of worms as far as time management, things like those are concerned.
Are there any other stories that stand out to you that are just kind of blow your mind?
Not for me. I mean, I think we've been really fortunate. We live in a community that has a lot of small children. So I think people are conscientious of that fact. I mean, I think it's just automatic for them. You exercise caution whenever you see small children. In your bigger neighborhoods, like take West Haven, for example, where their school is actually in the middle of their neighborhood. Yeah. Everybody walks or bikes or uses their scooter to go to school or their golf cart to go to school. We haven't had any, tragedy. Yeah, exactly.
What advice should parents relay to their kids who are either walking or biking to class?
It would be the hardest thing that you ask any child to do, and that's to pay attention. The attention span of young kids is so small. I think the rule at one time was, 5 minutes per year of age or something like that. I forget what it was. Hopefully, though, the parents are going with them. But yeah, just to pay attention, to stop, look both ways again. I know when you go to get your driver's license test, they tell you look left and then look right and then look left again, just in case so you don't miss anything. Walk with somebody. The more of you there are in the group, the more visible you are to whoever's driving the car. Visibility is key. Bright colored clothes, anything like that. But hopefully, though, the parents are going with them. That's what I'm hopeful for.
And obviously, every child should be wearing a helmet if they're riding a bicycle.
Yes, absolutely. And recently, these kids are on their little electric bikes and electric scooters, which is something else entirely. But yeah, so they're riding those to school. But yeah, just safety first. What we would think is common sense.
Let me ask you this. If folks encounter, whether they live next door to a school or they drive by a school every morning, every afternoon, and they encounter repeat offenders, they witness, these illegal acts of driving recklessly in school zones, what should they do?
Call us immediately and get us as much information as you possibly can. Everybody has a cell phone. Now, I say that, and then let me qualify it. Don't pick it up in the school zone, and please don't be in motion when you do it. But if you can get pictures and video of information, that helps us out a lot. We do have to observe the violation. But yeah, please let us know, because that'll give us another area to focus on. The citizens of this city are just as important, sometimes more important than the officers, because we can't be everywhere at once. We need their eyes, we need their ears, we need their input. So yeah, if you see something, please, by all means, give us a call.
Yeah. And finally, Joe, if you could give drivers, one golden rule to follow when it comes to school traffic safety, what would that be?
Put your phone down. That's the biggest thing. People are still on their phones. They're not paying attention. And it would have to be followed by, watch your speeds. People simply are not paying attention, especially in the mornings. Everybody's in a hurry. They're in a hurry to get to work. They're in a hurry to do this. They're in a hurry to do that. I cannot tell how many people we've pulled over. They'll go, well, I didn't see the sign. Now, it's a big yellow sign. It's got big yellow flashing lights on it. It has a speed on it, But just pay attention.
And stay patient.
Yeah, please, by all means. School's getting ready to start next week. Franklin and Williamson both go back next week. I don't think BGA goes back, I think, till the 18th, maybe. Plan ahead. It's going to take longer if your normal route takes you through a school zone that's now going to be active. Mm-hmm. Plan ahead. Add 20, 25, 30 minutes to your drive. Because if it's active, that crossing guard has to let children cross, has to let buses in and out of the school, has to let people turn in and out of the school. So they might let, 15, 20 cars advance at a time. And if you're the 45th car, it's going to take you a couple cycles before you get through there.
Yeah.
So just obviously plan for more time. Plan to sit a little while. Bring an ebook or something and put it on the radio.
So definitely the first week or two, give yourself some extra time. Maybe leave the house a little bit earlier if you're trying to get to work or wherever that may be.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm nervous because my daughter, one of my oldest, is starting kindergarten. This will be the first time that I'm doing a drop off and pick up 5 days a week. So what advice do you have for somebody like me? I am a little anxious, and I say that with all honesty.
But what is the anxiety? What are you nervous about?
I guess timing more than anything.
Well, you obviously don't want to be late with your child, especially on the first day. But she's in kindergarten. She doesn't really have a concept of time like you and I do.
Right.
Time management is not a skill set that they have yet. As a first-time dad dropping my child off, don't be upset when she turns around and waves and says bye and goes into the building.
Yeah.
The biggest thing for you is going to be separation anxiety.
Sure.
You're dropping her off.
Yeah.
You are now letting somebody else be in charge of your child's well-being, and she's going to make friends and she's going to have a whole nother life. And when she gets home at the end of the day, if you pick her up or if your wife picks her up, with your schedules, listen to everything she has to tell you about her day. Some of it may seem super silly, but to her it means the world.
Yeah.
So when my kids were growing up, my wife typically would pick them up from school. So when I got home from work, I would ask the kids, well, what did you do today? Well, they'd already told her. So their answer to me was always nothing. We didn't do anything today.
Yeah.
So find out, press her, find out what went on in her life today. Not because you want to know what's going on at the school with my child, but you want to know what's going on in your child's life. And if you lay that foundation now, then as she gets older, you won't have to solicit that information. She'll come home and she'll want to tell you what's happened in her life that day. Even if it's something as simple as, Tommy spilled his milk down the front of his shirt or something. Because to her, that's hilarious.
Right.
So, but that's going to be, for you, I think that's going to be your biggest thing.
Yeah.
Is the separation, the leaving her there. And eventually she'll understand that you're coming back. That's, she may have separation anxiety. Kids do that.
Yeah.
But now my daughter, the first day of kindergarten, bye, Dad. See ya.
I hope that's the way it is.
And it makes it a lot. Well, it seems like it make it a lot easier. But then you're going, wait, what? She doesn't need me anymore.
Yeah.
She still does, just at a different level.
Well, honestly, I did not expect us to transition from traffic safety into a mental health session about my daughter going to school, but I appreciate the advice.
I try to be diverse in everything that I do.
Thank you. We could do a whole nother podcast just on that.
Just let me know.
All right. Anything else at all, before we go, anything else at all you want to add about school traffic safety that I didn't ask you about or you have not mentioned yet?
No, I think we pretty much covered it. It's just, just reminding people just to be patient, be conscientious, and be observant.
Yeah.
And I think if we do that, I think we'll be just fine.
And I just have to reiterate, I love what you said earlier. I've heard you say it before. Again, you got to pretend that those kids are your own kids, your own grandkids who are walking past your car, walking on the sidewalks, biking on their way to school.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Joe Lacates, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you
so much. My
pleasure,
sir. Thank you.
And thank you, as always, for joining us. This was episode number 13 of the APB podcast. Lucky number 13.
That's a wonderful number.
We will see you next time. Thanks so much. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.